Hi, and welcome to another CIA interrogation. This time we talk to a legend, the boss himself.
Legends only, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I think we have to say just the name, and it says it all. So today we will talk to Jakob Schubert.
And here we go.
Do you hear me well enough if I have it this far away?
This is really good, really good.
I have like a ventilator also running. I don't know if you hear it.
No,
not at all.
Perfect, because
perfect.
it's pretty hot.
Yeah,
Vladek has told me 35 degrees in Zurich.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Is it the same in Innsbruck?
Yeah, I think something like that. Yeah, probably. I don't know, but I'm like high up in the building, so it's quite warm.
Oh yeah, okay.
Same with my flat, yeah.
We have a nice 20 degrees here in Stockholm right now, so
Oh, that's nice.
it's not so bad.
I mean, I go to Norway pretty soon, so hopefully it'll be good there as well.
Yeah, have you seen the forecast?
Not really, no. I'd rather not check.
Okay, you never know either. When are you going?
Yeah. I'm going on the 5th.
Okay,
So,
okay.
yeah,
So it's
sometime.
still some time.
I'll do the Rockmaster and then I go afterwards.
Right on. And how long will you stay in Flatanger?
A bit over 3 weeks. Because then I have to be home for the Austrian nationals. So yeah, but I hope it'll be enough. Let's see.
Yeah, okay. The Austrian national is in lead or in?
Yeah, lead and combined also.
Okay. Wow. That's actually was one of the questions, so I might as well ask it now. Like, how long can you stay away from plastic and still don't lose too much, shape?
I mean, it kind of depends what you do outside, but I mean, sometimes you come back even stronger. Like I remember last time, or it was even last year when I was on the Flatanger trip, I thought like, now it was like a month in Flatanger. I only did this super long route. I'll probably be in a bad shape, but I felt like really good when I was back. So I don't know. And then some other times, I don't know, you try a route which is very specific, maybe super short, and like, I don't know, if it's Margalef, so, for example, where you have only pockets, you might feel a bit weaker on some certain styles. But like Flatanger is such full body power that I feel pretty strong when I'm on a trip like that.
And especially this project, right?
Especially, I mean, in general, Flatanger has like a lot of like nice holds and not too much of one type. Like you basically have everything. So, and it's very steep. It's just always a good training. But yeah, this route especially, it's not really about one move. I mean, in the end, it kind of is, but at the same time, you always do quite a lot of hard moves each try. So it always feels like a good training.
Yeah, Adam told us it was so much about being able to climb everything up to there, super efficient and don't lose too much. And if you can rest in that knee bar or not, or I don't know if you do the same as him.
Yeah, the knee bar is the only thing where like I'm not 100% sure how important it is. Like also for me, it never worked as well as for Adam. But at the same time, I was never sure how well it worked for him. Even though he was able to release his hands, it didn't seem like it's that much of a recovery. But he emphasizes that it is. So I don't know. I'll try it again if it works for me. But I felt like it's almost better for me to not really shake that much. But yeah, obviously it's very important to get to that point already, not too tired. Otherwise, I think knee bar or not, you're not going to have a chance on the crux move.
True. And we should be clear, we're talking about the Project Big here.
Exactly.
Which you looked pretty, you looked really good on it. Like you there for not so long, like 2 weeks last time, or was longer?
When I was there last time?
Yeah, how long were you there last time? Not so long, right?
Okay. No, I was there for almost, I think it was a month.
Oh, really? Okay.
There was a lot of time, but like Adam and myself, we were there for the whole time. He was there even like a week earlier or something, and but we had like really bad luck with the weather. Like we definitely didn't try it for like the whole month. I think this route is specifically quite bad situated in the cave, or it has holes that get wet really fast, but also crucial holes, because some routes are better than others. Like, I don't know. And this route somehow gets wet a lot. So we had a lot of days where we really couldn't do serious tries. But at the same time, I feel like we had our chances, and we both had a good shot at like actually sending it. I feel like there were like 1 or 2 tries. If it was just a tiny bit different, I could have like sent it, or if I was like a tiny bit better or whatever. So yeah, I really hope I have a good shot this time again.
That must be so frustrating though, like being there and not being able to climb.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we always still somehow try to climb. I mean, we even did tries in like terrible conditions, tried to get over like did like some easier crux sections while they were wet. Sometimes tried it and just like soaked out or like dry fired on the wet holes or whatever, or
dry fired on the wet holes.
Wet fired, yeah, however you call it. Yeah, it was definitely quite frustrating, and it put more pressure on like the days where you felt like it's actually kind of good, you know. And the annoying part about Flatanger is that you kind of really never know if it's going to be a good day or not. Like you go to sleep and you can check the forecast, but it kind of doesn't really matter because you're not going to know if there's fog in the cave or not, if there's wind or not, or if there's a right wind. Rain doesn't even matter that much. So yeah, it's hard. And then you go up and you realize it's a good day, and you know you got to make it count because next day it might be bad again. So yeah, it's a mind game.
But that's almost, I mean, you'll sometimes people say the difference between competition climbing and climbing routes is that the route is always there, you can always climb it, whereas competition climbing is you have to do it right there, right then, right? But in Flatanger with this route, you actually have to do it when the conditions are there, and so it's.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, you could also be lucky and you have just a whole month of good days.
Yeah,
I mean, you never know. Outside, it's like, yeah, it's special. But I think, yeah, in Flatanger, it's definitely likely that you not always have like the best conditions. But yeah, I think outside climbing, like whenever we say like competition climbing it's so important to have like this mental power, this mental ability. You definitely also need it, but in like a different way outside. I feel like it's a really different mental game often to climb outside or to climb competition. Like it's true that like, sometimes if it's not your day that day, it's not the biggest deal outside, but it's the biggest deal on the comps. Obviously, sometimes you're maybe more nervous, have more pressure from outside. You hear the crowd and all that. But then the other thing, like what I really think is different in outside climbing is that you need a lot more mental ability during your climb. Like usually when I enter a comp route, I'm so in the game, so focused. I don't really have time to think, and it's actually kind of easy mentally once I enter the route. And in outside climbing is really different because many of the routes that we try, you're on the wall for like 30 minutes. You have no hand rests. You have tried the route so many times that everything is quite automatic, that you really have a lot of time to think about everything and you have to keep your composure, keep focused. It's after you've tried a route many times, it's sometimes really difficult to like when you have reached the halfway many times. And sometimes you felt like a tiny bit fresher than that try. So you're like, damn, I feel like a bit worse than like the try 10 tries ago or something. So I don't know. There's so many like other aspects that don't really play a big role in comp climbing sometimes.
Right. Do you still remember all the moves?
Of Project Big?
Yeah, in Project Big, yeah.
Yeah, no, there are a few moves that I definitely have to like. I think I kind of remember it, but not like I can't climb the route in my head now, the whole route, which I definitely could last year. I mean, it's like more than 100 moves or something, and many of the moves don't matter as much. Like you climb 15 meters of 7A at the start, and even though it's not that hard, I still want to remember it perfectly. But right now I don't, for example. But I do remember, obviously, like the crucial moves, and I'm also gonna rewatch my video, Adam's video, just to get like focused again, remember the route perfectly again, and try to be prepared.
And are you sure you get the right beta now? Perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think, like I said, I do think I could have sent it last year if some things worked just a little bit better. So I think the beta was quite good. There is one move that I kind of struggled on where Adam didn't struggle at all. It's like after the big knee bar rest, when like the crux part kind of starts, there is one other like really tricky knee bar that I really struggled to get in. And for me, it was not for sure that I get over this part, basically. Like I felt like for Adam, it was almost guaranteed that he would always get to the crux move. And for me, it was not always guaranteed because I would sometimes fall on this move and it would be really frustrating because you did all the no hands and then you fall on that move where it actually just starts. But at the same time, I felt like if I get to the crux move, I felt like I had a better chance of actually sticking the move because I felt really good on that part. So yeah, I think it would be really amazing if I'm a little bit better at the lower part this time, get more consistently to the crux move, and then I'm really confident. Or yeah, but at the same time, Adam was there quite, I think, 4 more trips after our trip, and he still hasn't done the route. So maybe it will be much harder after all, and I will keep falling on that move over and over again. Who knows?
But that move you were talking about now, is it a difficult move or a hard move?
A difficult or a hard move?
Yeah, like is it like low percentage or is it like hard?
Okay. No, I think it's hard. Yeah. It's not necessarily like low percentage. It's more like just a very physical move. Like as a single move, I mean, even though when I tried it the first times, it was even quite hard as a single move, but then after a while I got it dialed quite well. But it's a very physical move. Like you need to kind of like do a really big move, and it's just very hard to have this physical power after so much climbing.
Right, right.
Do you think you are in better shape now than last time, like physically?
I don't know. That's hard to say. I mean, I definitely felt in a better lead competition shape at the World Championships than when I went to Project Big. But obviously, it's a really different kind of climb and style. Also, it's sometimes really interesting. Like I feel like I did the World Championship, and then now I went like 1 week on holidays just to like cool down and get my head free. And I feel like the body really knows, like, okay, I did my part now, and now I'm like going down, you know. So my first few sessions after like this week of a rest were like really, really terrible. I really hope not a lot of people saw me in the gym because they would have like thought like I don't know what I did at the World Champs, but how is this guy double World Champion, you know? But now I'm slowly getting back into my groove, and I do think I'll hopefully be in a really good shape. And I mean, obviously I'm way more confident than last time. Last time I went to Project Big, I didn't even know what the route was, how hard it will be. Yeah. This time I got all the beta, and I will have way more time on actually doing tries. So I think there's a good chance of sending it.
Are you often like, you know, self-conscious in the gym actually? Like you care about people watching you, or if you have a bad day, or?
No, I was joking.
Okay.
No, not really. I mean, I don't really think I have anything like, I don't know. You know, it would
a lot
actually
of people
even
have
like, yeah, no, it would actually even motivate me if people like see me and think I'm bad right now, because then I'll just show them something else.
Yeah,
Good enough.
Well, you can show the medals, right?
Yeah.
No, but even like just on the next comp, or they can challenge me on a boulder or something.
You speak about the Bern. So how was it for you, the World Championships? So results not bad.
Yeah, not that bad, no. Yeah, I mean, obviously it was crazy. It was amazing. It went way better than I even imagined it to be. I mean, obviously I had goals. I knew I had like realistic chances of winning something or winning medals. But it was even way better than I expected it to be. The event itself was amazing. It was organized really well. There were so many spectators. It was just all around fun. I really love World Championships also because they're like this longer event. You know, when you go to a World Cup, it's over after like 2 or 3 days. But a World Championship, you build up such a big memory because you spend like 2 weeks in the city. You kind of like get attached to the city, to the hotel, to your team and friends that are around you for such a long time. And there's so many competition days, so many things happening. It's just always an amazing experience. And obviously I'm just crazy happy how it turned out. I'm especially just really proud of what I achieved in lead. I was really happy with how I climbed in lead that competition, and in general how I climbed lead this whole year, and how I still developed, I feel like, and gotten maybe better than I ever was, which is not an easy thing with my age. So yeah, that's the amazing thing about climbing in my eyes. Like even though you might not get physically much stronger anymore, there's always so many things you can still learn. It's just such a complex sport. It's unbelievable. There's always things to work on, and always you always feel like you can improve, whether it be tactics, your mental ability, the efficiency in your climbing. And I felt already really good in training, and I was really confident going to Björn in terms of lead. Like I felt like I definitely have a chance to win, or at least fight for the win. And then I felt, it's not always like that, but this time I felt just as well on the wall at the comp how I felt in training. So that was just amazing. Like every single route that I climbed, I basically had fun and I felt good. And sometimes you have like this one route where you feel really bad, and then the other route is good. But there I just felt really good on basically every route. So that was an amazing experience, because when you feel like you're climbing well, it's always way more fun. And yeah, in combined, I feel like obviously I also tried to prepare really well for bouldering. I mean, my big goal was to win to do well in combined, get that Olympic ticket, maybe fight for the title in combined. And lead was like the side goal, but at the same time, it really meant a lot to me when I won it, because there's so many strong guys out there. So it was just amazing to win that title. And I think it gave me a lot of confidence and boost for the combined. But at the same time, I think for combined, I never expected to win. I knew it's going to be really hard to even make finals and then fight for that spot. There's just so many really good combined athletes. And then at the end of the day, it's just so much comes down to what the setters prepared in bouldering. I think it's just crazy, and it's kind of random, so you never really know how your combined is going to be. That's the thing. That's why I kind of wish there was lead just at the Olympics as well, because then I would feel much more confident on actually winning a medal, because with combined you just never know. Will it be mostly technical? Will it be more physical? Will there finally be a crimp on the wall? You never know. And I think we saw it, how big of an influence it can have. Like I felt like after the whole lead comp and the bouldering comp, I felt quite good in both, like really good in lead. But even with my bouldering, I was quite happy. I felt like I basically could have made finals, and I climbed really well. So I was really confident going into the combined, like feeling everything has to go wrong to not make finals, basically. And then everything went wrong in the bouldering round, and I had like a terrible round, and I felt like it's probably over. And with crazy luck, and a good lead performance, I still made it into finals. And then I was lucky, and I had like a good bouldering round all of a sudden, and I won the title. I don't know, it's crazy.
But how important is, because I know in the final round you went out there and you get to the first boulder problem, and you know it's something you can do, right? You do it. How important is the start there to get a good start in the bouldering round?
Yeah, it's really important. Like bouldering is so much about momentum. It's crazy. I mean, it's even more so in a semi-final round where you have like only 5-minute rests in between. You know, in the final round you got like a bit more time, so it's a bit easier to reset, and also you have some kind of break. In like a semi-final round, when you flash a boulder or do something quickly, you basically get double amount of rest time compared to other athletes. So momentum in bouldering is just crazy. If you do something quickly, it can influence the whole round so much. But also mentally, obviously, like being in the like basically a boulder ahead of most people gives you like a crazy boost. And in finals, it's also quite special because you have like an observation of the boulders. So I think already there, it plays with your mind. Like do you like what you saw in the observation or not? And if you didn't like it, you try to like switch it off. But if you like it, it already gives you like some motivation, right? So in this case, I did kind of like the observation. I felt like the boulders looked cool. I felt like I could do well in this round, so that already helped me. And then obviously just doing really well in the first boulder gave me a good boost. And I feel like the key moment for me was the boulder 2, the slab, because already before knowing, like I already thought before anyone tried it, it wouldn't be the hardest one. And I knew it's going to be crazy important for me since it's kind of like my weakness to do the boulder. And especially being ahead with one boulder, I knew like if I do the slab, chances are crazy high that I get this ticket tonight.
Yeah,
so there was some extra pressure, and I was so happy when I delivered on that one.
You said you are not the youngest athlete, but you have more experience than the younger athletes. You think it's a big advantage for you, or?
In some cases, I do think it's can be an advantage. Yeah, I think more so in lead than in bouldering, at least for me. Like in lead, I definitely felt like, yeah, I mean, who were the other big favorites to win lead, right? It was probably like Serato, Toby, and Adam, another experienced athlete. And Toby and Serato, I definitely felt like you could see that they weren't as experienced with this situation than maybe I was. They haven't had, I mean, basically this was, their first world championship. It's very different to a World Cup. This is the big stage. Everyone knows that. It's like this big event. It's not like you get a chance again next week, basically. You hear the huge crowd, you have the pressure. Like it's also very different if you go there as a young athlete and you're already surprising everyone by making the final and you're just like, yeah, let's go. And then it's quite easy to maybe make them a podium because you're really free in your head. But going there, being a favorite like Serato or Toby is way more difficult. Like many people expect something from you yourself, you expect a lot from yourself. And then those situations can definitely be hard to handle, especially if the route is tricky. It has these dynos where you maybe have time to think. And I do think in those situations, it helped me to have the experience to know how it feels to be on the stage and actually, I think this is one of my big strengths, that I can perform quite well on those crucial moments, and it actually helps me that is this important.
And also you mentioned you really like when it's this long competition, like many days of competition, like a World Championships. Whereas I think that a lot of people, especially if you're young, maybe you get mental fatigued by all these. You have to this competition, and when you in the end reach the combined, which is at the end of the second week, maybe like you said, it's really hard when you're a young athlete to still keep the focus or whatever. But then again, you were once a young athlete. I mean,
a long time ago.
That was a long time ago. I mean, so what would you say is the main difference between the 2012 edition of Jakob Schubert, 2011 edition, and today? Of course, mental is one thing and experience, but when it comes to your style of climbing, what have you improved the most? And
yeah, I mean, I think my climbing style has definitely changed a lot. I mean, that's the cool thing about climbing. I mean, not just me, but the sport and all the athletes have kind of like evolved a little bit over the years, right? And it really helps me that there's so many other crazy strong climbers that I learned from so much. I mean, now there's like these new climbers that have their style, like Serato and Toby, and you try to learn from them. But obviously, over all the years, I learned a lot from Adam, from Tomoa, from Yoshiyuki. There's so many strong climbers in their certain styles, and you always try to pick like someone that is the best in his style and try to learn from him. And I think that's how we improve the most. I think one thing that I'm really happy with how I improved and what I did quite well also at the World Championship was the pace of my lead climbing. I think if you look at my lead climbing in 2011 or before that, or probably still 2012, I was usually always a very safe, very controlled, also quite slow climber. And Adam was a guy that would still consistently or quite often also beat me. So I always also tried to learn from Adam, and he was the more risky, the more fast climber. And I definitely feel like I put something of his climbing into my climbing by now, and my pace has become way faster than it has been, and it's my climbing is way more efficient in that way.
I think you're faster than Adam, yeah. He's now at the moment, so, and your style is more risky than Adam's style, so it's like,
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, also, yeah,
for me.
I mean, I talked to Adam a bit, and it was kind of funny because he kind of said he tried to change his climbing style a little bit in like another way, because he said he tried to specifically train for this kind of combined style where it's more like long routes, not really bouldery, more like endurance routes, which he thinks is not really his style so much. So he tried to get better at recovering, at slowing down and getting energy back. And I feel like I already had that. Like this was always my strength, and I tried to put the fast climbing into it. Like I really always try to enter a route quite like with a fast pace nowadays. It really helps me also to just push away all the like all your thoughts, basically just enter the route and go fast. And then obviously in some routes you still have to slow down. I mean, my final league climb I almost timed out, so that was pretty crazy, because it was a weird route, like with a lot of big rests and some points where you had to recover, especially mentally. So yeah, but as long as you keep your pace on like the harder sections, I think it's all good.
How did you like the route setting actually in the World Championships, like lead, boulder, everything? Did you?
I mean, I think in lead it was fantastic. Like it was they did such an amazing job setting in lead. Like especially lead, the special discipline of lead, I love so much because every single route that we climbed was really hard, and that's just amazing. Like for us athletes, there's nothing worse than easy routes where you don't really get to show what you're capable of. And there we had like every single route, even in qualification. In qualification, there was not a single top, and you just always could fight and show your best, and that was just amazing. And still, people felt like different points, and it was cool routes to climb. And I think in combined, they still did a good job. I'm still not certain if they really have to set in this super consistent style. Like I felt like it was really obvious how they really changed their style from lead to combined, because they want to. Like I feel like they think it's necessary in combined to have this consistent style, so it's more fair, which kind of makes sense, I guess. But I don't know. It's just hard to set hard routes without actual cruxes. And in finals, they did a better job with that. So finals was already a really good route again, and obviously semifinals was almost too easy, but it still worked out. And yeah, bouldering. I mean, bouldering, you can always complain about the setting, and it's always difficult. We always have discussions, and I think in the past I've always complained more and I tried to do it less, but at the same time, it's still something I think, like when I read comments that athletes shouldn't talk about route setting or shouldn't give their thoughts about route setting, I don't really think it's true necessarily, because at the end of the day, route setting influences climbing, competitions, and everything in such a huge way that I think we should sometimes comment if we think it's the sport is going in a really wrong direction. And I mean, this is especially in a way if rounds are set too easy or too hard boulders, because there's not really a discussion around it. If like a boulder in a World Cup is topped by 60 athletes, I don't need to discuss that this was like a terrible boulder. And I think even every athlete can definitely complain about it, because this should never happen. If we talk about styles, obviously that's so subjective. So you can still discuss it, but it's always hard because someone likes more slaps, someone likes more jumps, someone likes more whatever physical stuff. So there, it's always hard to actually give your opinion without like saying there will always be a different opinion.
Yeah, there should always be variation though. Like in some comps you've seen, like some finals where they're basically only revolving about jumps each.
For sure, yeah,
which is
of course. I mean, also I think like if I think about all the like most or all the boulders that we climbed on the main wall, like in the big hall, because I think qualifications was quite good for the men, and then from there I feel like in qualifications we also had the best physical boulders, and I think from there on the team did like a really good job on the technical boulders, like the slabs and the dihedral boulder, which was always kind of like almost the same boulder, like almost like something swinging and like catching yourself. I mean, they were like a little similar, but still the difficulty and the style of those boulders was really good, I think. But they weren't really great at setting physical boulders, in my opinion. And that's just in terms of the difficulty. I think the boulders were cool, but they had a hard time of actually doing getting the right difficulty for the physical boulders. Like if we look at the two steep walls on the right side, the left of those was mostly topped by almost everyone except in combined finals and in bouldering finals. So actually I'm talking about like the semifinals, and the right one also in both semifinals was topped by either one or two persons. So most of the time those two boulders didn't play a really big role in the outcome of the round, but it was more about the other two boulders, which I think they didn't do the best job with.
So saying that, like you said, some of the problems were kind of similar because of the wall shape, I guess then. And I mean, since this is the Olympic wall, what do you think of it?
When I saw a photo of the wall before going to Bern, I think like most athletes thought, what the hell? What are they doing? Like, how can they make a wall like this for the two most important comps that we have the next 2 years? And then when I saw it actually and climbed on it, it was way better than I thought it's going to be, but I still think it's far from like the best wall. And I think they could have done a way better job. And I don't really know who is like designing those walls and if they actually have like route setters or athletes on that team. Also, I mean, fair enough. We have to be fair. It's very hard to make those walls, like to have like the right angles with the mats and all that. It's difficult. I know that. But still, I think it's not perfect or far from perfect. I've also talked to the route setters. It's also surprisingly small, in my opinion. I mean, if they have to set with two zones, and especially for semifinals, when there's always 4 guys or 4 girls on the wall, it's very hard for them to actually set long boulders. So yeah, I think the wall should be a bit bigger, and it's not perfect, but it's also way better than I expected it to be. So yeah, it's not the worst. And I think Tokyo was also terrible, probably worse than this one. So
yeah. So and the lead wall, that is pretty standard, I guess. The lead wall.
Is the lead wall also the Olympic wall?
I think
I wasn't sure about that.
I think so.
I think so.
I mean, I hope so, because I think that wall is really good. Yeah, I think it was a really important decision to make the top part just a tiny bit steeper than VR. I think it's basically VR, but the top part is a bit steeper, and it's still slabby enough, or like it's not slabby, but you know, I know like people always complain when we talk about slabby when it's like 15 degrees overhang. But the thing is, once you put like a huge volume there and you stand on it, it almost feels like a slab. And sometimes you have like palm moves. And once I have palm moves, or I basically don't really need to use my fingers, it feels like a slab. Right. So I think it's really good that it's a bit steeper than VR, because VR is too slabby in my opinion. I mean, on the World Cup circuit, it's all good because it's great to have different walls and also different styles on the World Cup circuit, in my opinion. But I rather have like a steeper wall for the Olympics, and I think the wall in Bern was pretty great. And I mean, I did well on it, so yeah, let's go.
Yeah, that's true. In Bern, though, I don't know if you noticed, but during the combined final, it was so hot in there. Was it really hot up on the wall? Did you notice that?
Not that much, actually. So it was really nice for us that I realized it after my climb. Then it was like crazy hot when I had to sit in that seat, and I even wore my jacket because of sponsors and stuff and the team. So there I was like sweating like hell. But for us climbers, in between the rounds, I mean, in between boulders, it was pretty okay because in the transit zone there was air conditioning, so it wasn't as hot there. So you could always cool down after each boulder. And also we did most boulders quite fast, so it wasn't that bad, I thought.
Right, that's good. That's good.
Crazy thing was bouldering qualification. There it felt like Tokyo again. It was that was crazy. Yeah, it was like a sauna.
Yeah, I wasn't there, but Vladek told me that it was pretty alright in the beginning.
Super hot, like no fresh air.
Yeah, but still, it was kind of alright at the start, and then really, really bad towards the middle, and then better at the end or something.
I thought it was always bad, but I don't know. Okay. I was also quite late starter, like late, but like 16th or something. Right. But I thought it was always as hot, but I'm not sure. The thing was just there was air conditioning in this other hall, but it didn't work that day or something. So for women's bouldering qualification, there was air conditioning again, and it was still warm. But for us, there wasn't, and it was so hot. It was crazy. And I heard that the setters were actually kind of scared that now the boulders will be way too hard because they thought we're going to climb in much colder conditions. But I think, I mean, it was kind of hard, but it was quite good that way, and it turned out quite well.
So we have a bunch of questions, but bunch of questions from Instagram. So I think we should go through them and see what happens. And some of them, some things we've already talked about, but we'll see. So how did it feel having such a good boulder round in Bern in the combined version?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that it felt really great. At the same time, I didn't really like. I think what I did well was doing the first boulder, right, and all the other 3 boulders were kind of like a must do, and it was not doing well, but rather like failing if you didn't do it, which never really feels great. So I thought, obviously that round didn't work quite well. Like I think the route setters know they weren't happy with that round or how it turned out. It was just way too easy. And in my case, it was very good, and it was a good scenario, and I was lucky that it was that way, I guess. I mean, I hope I could have also proven myself on another round, but still, obviously, it was mostly about this one boulder, and that was more of a physical boulder, and that was more my style, and the other boulders were rather easy, so it really worked my way. And that's also the thing, like sometimes there's this bouldering rounds where you're doing well, but you're not feeling as happy because you didn't feel like you did something crazy, if you feel like, if you're actually, that's why we love the hard rounds, the hard lead routes, because then you can actually show how good you are, or hopefully, and you're having like a super good day, and you're just really strong, and then you also feel super happy about it. But if you're just like one of many others that flashed most boulders, it's not as rewarding, obviously. But in this case, it really helped me to win the combined title. But at the same time, I feel like it was really fun. Probably also to watch, but it was really exciting because after the bouldering round, it was far from over. Like everyone was still so close together. Like if you had one boulder, it's not that much, and everyone else kind of had like 3 boulders. Tomorrow also had 4 boulders, so it was really exciting going into lead. It's not like I was 80 points ahead. I knew I still had to do well, and I think it was pretty cool. Seeing everyone so close together.
So
it was still everything close together. Like, I mean, Adam or Sorato, if they would have just done a tiny bit better, they would have ended up on the podium.
Yeah, so it wasn't like after boulder round you were like, if I don't fuck up, I'm in Paris. Like,
I mean, I knew I was like in a really good lead shape, and as long as I climbed like kind of like I climbed the other routes, there was a really good chance I'm getting that ticket. I knew that. But at the same time, at the beginning of that day, I already tried to remind myself, and it actually really helped me also reading the posts from Sorato on Instagram. It was such a great post, in my opinion, because he wrote, I don't care Olympic ticket. I want to win boulder and lead.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what I kind of like try to tell myself as well. Like, I know everyone talked about that Olympic ticket, but most people that are in this final are like really great athletes, and most of them will still have a really good shot of making that Olympic ticket. And I also knew if I'm not going to get it here, there's a good chance I still get it at
For
some
sure.
point. But we're still at a world championship here right now, and we're fighting for a world championship title. And I tried to remind myself for that. I wasn't really, I think after the bouldering round, I was also not really, I wouldn't have been happy with the Olympic ticket anymore. I wanted more.
Right.
I wanted to win the title. I wanted to win a shiny medal.
Yeah.
And so I tried to go into the lead, not just playing it safe, because also I tried to not, like I said before, I tried to not have that style anymore, even though I don't really I can't really get rid of it fully, but I tried to enter the route with the mindset of actually, going for my best climb.
So do you have, like, before you enter the stage, do you have some kind of routine to get you into the right mindset? Something you do, or is it just walk on stage? And
I mean, what I really like to do to just be fully focused on the route is just visualizing the route over and over again. So just before I go out, I definitely climb the route 1 or 2 more times in my head, and it just helps me to already just get into my zone.
And you always top it?
If I remember everything, I try to top it. Sure, yeah.
I really like when you came out for the lead route, like really psyched, like really, and then you start climbing. It was like nice to see.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely not like, it was still mentally a difficult situation, obviously, because still in the back of my head there is still this voice like, just don't fuck up and you get that ticket, just play it safe, like just don't mess up. So yeah, I just, with that, I tried to like get rid of all that again and just like give it my all. But usually if everything goes really well, there's never any thoughts while I'm climbing on the wall. I'm just like fully focused. But sometimes there's still, like in this route, there were like 1 or 2 moments that I remember where I was like just thinking a little bit of like, just get to the head wall or something like that,
Yeah.
And usually I don't want that, but it still worked out, so all good.
Do you put the pressure on yourself, like to do it yourself, or it's the pressure from the other people, because of the Olympics and stuff? Is it, or it's a combination probably, but
it's probably kind of a combination. Yeah, I mean, I would say that the pressure from myself is probably higher.
okay.
Like obviously there is outside pressure. You want to, at the back of your head, you also want to perform because of like, I don't know, being in the newspaper, or the people are going to talk about you, and sponsors, all that stuff, But at the end of the day, we are like just really ambitious athletes, and we want to do well, and we want to climb well, and we want to be better than the other guys. And that's the most important thing, basically. So the most pressure is just from yourself, because you want to perform and you want to show what you got. I think that's the main thing.
And how do you feel if some other guys perform better than you? You are like jealous, or you say, oh, it's my fault, or like, how is the like, it's still my friend, it's good for him, or
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think that's the amazing thing about climbing in our community. I think we all realize we're not really climbing against each other. We're climbing against like a route or a boulder, and whoever is like better on that route or boulder that day deserves to win, and that's all good. And we respect that. I think most of us grew up climbing in a team, or growing in climbing together with someone else, because that's mostly what we do, right? I mean, climbing might be something that you do by yourself in the comp, but it still sometimes feels like a team sport, or at least like a very social sport. Like when I grew up, like I'm always someone that trains together with other guys. Like when you try a boulder problem and you just try it by yourself, like you're never gonna be as successful quickly enough as like if you try together with your friends and everyone works it out together. And I think that's how we all grew up, and that's also how we do it at the comp scene, right? Because it's normal to us. And I think you just focus on your own performance. So if I climb on a route and I know I did a lot of mistakes or I could have done way better, I'm just mad with myself and I'm disappointed in myself. But if someone beats me, it's not like I'm jealous of him or I hate him for that, because I know I'm the one to blame and I could have done better. Or maybe sometimes I just climbed perfectly, but someone is just even better. And then I just have like a lot of respect for that person. And I try to analyze, is there any way I can also get as good as that person?
And then you go back home and train.
Exactly.
So another question here, which is difficult, I guess. So what do you focus on when you climb? Is it reaching the hold or how the grip feels? Like reaching the next hold or the grip you're holding?
So, I mean, like I said, usually in like an ideal scenario, I don't really think at all when I'm climbing. Like I'm just fully focused and everything just happens basically. But there are things where you're like, something goes into your mind. And actually grip is like an interesting word because that really plays a role, and it does really go into my mind sometimes. Like I really also really remember at this World Championship that I had, especially at the beginning of the World Championship, also in lead, quite some grip problems. Like I had quite dry skin, so on all the chips I felt really uncomfortable, and like I could always dry fire. So if you have a hold like that and you feel really bad grip, really bad friction, it's like it goes into your mind, oh damn, I have bad friction, oh my god, you're like holding more. So actually I think even sometimes the friction plays an even bigger role in lead than in bouldering, because if you have bad friction on the type of holds that are used on that wall or on that route, you're going to have a hard time because you just use way more power than you should because you're so scared of slipping off. But yeah, so there's more like whenever something happens that is not really how you expected it to be, or then I think something comes to my mind. But usually I try to be just super focused and like, or not try, it's naturally happening and I don't really think. But I guess I would rather think about the next move, because you do think ahead, obviously, and it's very important you do that. That's also why reading the route well, visualizing it really well is very important, because I mean, I already have to know, like, I don't know how, like a lot of moves ahead, right? Where do I clip? Where do I chalk? Like even which hand is more important to maybe rest, because you expect this one move to be more like harder. I think many people really underestimate how much tactics are involved in climbing. It's crazy how very small things sometimes play a huge role. I don't know exactly when you know you're like pumping out very soon and it's only about this one more move, that you like shake this right hand just as much as possible so you can do this one more plus, for example. Just like some really quick tactical decisions can sometimes play a huge role.
Right. So like when you climb the routes, are you often surprised? Like you come to a hold and it's like, shit, I thought it was way better or way worse, or
oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, it happens to all of us for sure. Because I mean, they use a lot of holds that we don't really know, or they're completely new, and you can not even with binoculars. You often can't really tell, the friction of the hold or even how good it is, and then that's also how it's sometimes really hard to tell where actually a crux is, where a rest point is, and it often just comes by climbing, and then you realize this is the crux, or this is a hard move, or this is where I can rest. And that's also why it's very important that, yes, it's very important to read the route, to visualize the route, but it's also very important to be able to do good, quick decisions. And you just have to trust your instinct on those things. But yeah, I remember in lead finals, there was, even before the swing, there was this one move to like an undercling.
Yeah.
And there was this one hold, and we all thought an observation, that's just a normal move to the undercling. And I think we all arrived on that hold, and it was terrible. And we were like so surprised, like, what? Like, what am I supposed to do with this one? It's like crazy. And the problem was, we didn't even know how good this hold was. So some people, I saw Adam, he just like, he told me afterwards, like, since this was so bad, he thought like this has to be a jug, and just risked it and went double. But I wasn't as risky again. I played it safe and just tried to crimp the hell out of it and go slowly to this. And it was one of the hardest moves I did on that route.
So how's your skin actually? Do you have like usually good skin, or do you have problem with your skin?
Yeah, I have quite some skin problems, especially in the summer. Like I have very dry skin. So I don't know. I kind of have like almost like it's kind of like a disease that I have in the summer. I don't really know. Like some doctors, I already went to some doctors, but they can't really tell what it is. But yeah, my skin is so dry that it sometimes kind of peels off in the summer. But it's usually more like June, July. So I was quite lucky, and at the World Championship, it was already a bit better. It's not like it's that terrible to climb, but it's usually kind of painful. I mean, now it looks a little bit shitty again. This, it's hard to see. This is like the bad thing about my skin, but I have also like good things about my skin. Like I rarely ever like my fingertips are very strong, so I almost never really bleed out of my fingertips unless I have like a split. So that's something I have like a lot of friends that struggle with a lot more. So this is like the really good thing about my skin. And I think the crazy thing about skin is like it plays such a huge role in climbing and you can actually like study it at university or something, because it really depends which hold brand, which like material, which whatever they use, and which skin is good for, like for example, like I said, I had like really dry skin, so I felt really bad on some of the chips, like flat hold chips with really bad friction. I felt like I would dry fire. But then the wooden volumes with really good friction, they are amazing with dry skin. So it always depends which kind of hold.
Right.
But yeah.
So was that why you licked your hands in the competition? Sometimes, like lick the fingers.
Yeah, or like put water on it or something like that. Yeah, because it's so dry, and I just try to get some humidity. Exactly. And especially, for example, with like the glass hold.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say that.
I mean, with dry skin, you're just completely lost on this one. You want you want sweaty hands, basically, or at least wet hands. So yeah, it's nowadays it's definitely very important to try to manipulate your skin sometimes in some ways, because certain holds you want this kind of skin, and other holds you want this kind of skin. That's also what I don't really like sometimes nowadays, that many of the physical boulders that we get are actually so much about the friction and not that much about actually like holding, so then weight plays a huge role, and obviously your skin. So I'd rather see like less of those friction dependent boulders and more like actually like where you need your fingers and your power.
Yeah, it's difficult to train friction.
Yeah, it's more about you need to be lucky that it's for your type of skin kind of, and also you need to be able to manipulate your skin in some way. I mean, obviously it's not like it's only about skin, of course not, but it does play a big role, and whoever trains a lot on like a lot of different holds knows it, because we train a lot, and there's like certain holds that I don't know, one day you're like, what, it's impossible to hold this hold, and the other day it's like it's a joke, it's crazy. And the same thing is like on outside bouldering, right? Everyone that ever bouldered or lead climb, but it's even more in bouldering outside. It's crazy how a boulder can change depending on the conditions. And your skin.
I had actually a question. Was ist dein Lieblingsgriff?
Was ist mein Lieblingsgriff?
Yes.
That means what is my favorite hold?
Yeah, I know.
Okay. A Zwicker, a Zange, a pinch. I think.
Yeah.
But I do like all
What
of them.
size?
Not big pinch.
Big pinch.
Big pinch. Oh yeah. But I think I do like all of them. I like crimps as well a lot. Slopers also, but not so much pockets. That's like the only hold type I don't like so much.
Okay.
Right.
Interesting.
And I guess also I'm not a crack expert, so
No jams.
So
yeah. I mean, once in a while it's fun.
Another question here. What's your proudest achievement, like outdoor route boulder?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I've done only one 9B plus so far. That's Perfecto Mundo. I'm on my way to change that hopefully soon enough. But yeah, I guess that's the hardest route that I've done so far.
And was it also the hardest for you?
I mean, it probably took me the longest, but still not crazy long. So I didn't really had to work that hard for Perfecto Mundo. There might have been one 9B that I worked almost the same amount of time on, which was Planta de Shiva. But I don't think it's because Planta de Shiva is as hard as Perfecto Mundo, but more that I was just not in the right shape and also not in the right mindset when I was trying that route. Like sometimes something can feel really difficult just because, yeah, you're not in the best flow. And yeah, when it comes down to bouldering, I don't feel like I've done something that's on my red point limit yet. Like I haven't really tried a lot of boulders for a longer time. That's like another big goal of mine for this year, to finish Alphane or try Alphane more and actually send that boulder. But I think I've done some quite hard flashes when it comes down to bouldering. So I would say those I'm more proud of than some of my red points, like flashing Adam Kara in Silvretta, or what else did I flash? Oh yeah, Catalan Witness to Fitness and Never Ending Story. Although I would say this might be the easiest one of the three. I mean, for me, Adam Kara is probably like the hardest one to flash out of those three, but especially because the other two are kind of like very long boulders, and it's, in my opinion, or at least for my style, it's way easier to flash a longer boulder where there's not really one single move. And Anam Kara, the first move is quite low percentage, so it's obviously way harder to flash, I think.
So Project Big, you think that's 9C?
I don't know. I mean, last year, you know, it was hard. I think when we started to try the route, or especially when I tried the route, I thought there's no way it can be 9B plus, because it felt so crazy hard and overwhelmingly long and all that. And Adam was like more like, nah, I don't think it can be 9C. And then it kind of changed into like me thinking at some point, okay, there's no way it's 9C. And he was like, actually, I'm not 100% sure anymore. It's not 9B plus, or it's hard. There's a chance it's harder than 9B plus. But yeah, I think we both kind of agreed on that trip that probably it's something like a 9B plus, because we both felt like we could have done it that trip. But now, since we haven't done it, it changed. And I think it will really depend how hard it will be for me to send the route. If I'll do it like now within like 1 or 2 weeks, obviously I'm not going to be able to grade it 9C, I think, for myself. But if it takes me way longer than I think, because it's actually way harder than I think to stick this move, even though I felt so close, maybe so close is still far off from actually doing it. So yeah, we'll see.
Right.
So what do you think it's your limit, you know, like in terms of difficulty, like can climb 9C, 9C plus, or you don't really know?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we all know grading is crazy difficult. Like there is so little amount of 9B pluses and even less 9Cs in the world, and not a lot of people that try and climb these grades. So it's still really hard to tell whether something is like 9B, 9B plus, or 9C. It's always like some kind of feeling you have, right? But like if I take Perfecto Mundo, for example, and let's say that's supposed to be a 9B plus, I know for sure I can climb harder than that. So I would assume I have what it takes to be a 9C climber. But right now there are only 2 9Cs, so do I have what it takes for these 2 specific routes? I still hope so. So I still hope so I can do one of those. Otherwise, I might have to find my own, which is crazy hard.
Yeah.
So do you have a project of your own?
I mean, I have Project Big, which is kind of like Adam's.
Yeah, of course.
I'm trying to take it away from him.
Yeah, true. No, I thought you had something
but
else.
other than that, yeah, I mean, there is one project that I really want to work on, kind of in Silatal. It's kind of tricky to try because it's basically only in fall or late summer, because it's in spring you can't really go up there because of it's very dangerous with avalanches. So that's really annoying about this crack, but it's a really cool project. Jörg Verhoeven bought it. But yeah, it's not going to be like the next level of hard, I think, but it's definitely something like 9B or maybe harder. So yeah, that would be a cool project. But other than that, I haven't really found seen anything close by that could be this hard. I mean, obviously I want to find something completely natural, and finding a completely natural 9C is just, very hard.
Yeah. You did try DNA briefly, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And what was your thoughts about that one?
I really loved it. So in general, I loved the Verdun Gorge. It's just an amazing place, and the route was also really cool. Some very great movements. It does have some Sika on it, but just to reinforce some holds. But it's still different to, like, if you compare it to Flatanger, where you basically never touch any Sika. But it's an amazing route. It's not as long as I thought, or like the crux is not that high up. So it's
okay.
I went there quite soon after Project Big, so it was kind of like refreshing to have something where you don't climb like 30 minutes and then it actually gets exciting. But yeah, it has a lot of very tricky knee bars, and it also has some really reachy moves. Like, I thought there's one move where I'm just so extended that if I would be any shorter, there would be no possibility for me to actually ever have a chance. But it felt like something I could have a chance on someday. So I really want to go back, and I even have it on on my agenda maybe for this year. I'll see. Like, I'll go to Flatanger and then have some time in October or November. So I was already thinking of doing a trip there again.
So you put on your YouTube channel the second part of your Mallorca trip. Are you thinking to go back to deep water as well at some point, or how was it?
For sure. I mean, I could think of, like, in my dreams, I think I'm like a professional deep water solo climber at some point. But yeah,
impressive to see you in Mallorca, because I have been with Krudi there a few times to trying Kalasa, and then you came there and just like send it. It was really, I was really impressed.
Yeah, thank you. No, I really loved Mallorca and deep water soloing. It was such an amazing experience, and I definitely want to do it more in the future. If I'm not doing it this year anymore, then I'm definitely doing it next year, probably like after the Olympics again. But yeah, since I've done like most of the classics now, maybe it's time to like explore some more. Would also be amazing to maybe like team up with Chris. I've already been in touch with him to maybe, because he knows quite a few more lines, and I really want to go back there, and maybe at some point also explore some other areas in the world for deep water soloing, because I mean, there has to be way more potential.
Should be.
Yeah.
Okay, quite a different question here. So what is the beta to climb hard all day, every day, like you do, and never get injured in the fingers?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's a lot of betas to it. I mean, if you want to do it my way, you kind of have to climb already like 20 years. So that's hard. But obviously, like climbing for a long time kind of helps. But also, what is very important is, I think, is first of all, getting to know your body, like knowing your body really well, and knowing like when you have to slow down, when you have to do less, when you can do more. Those things, obviously, warming up your routine and all those things. Like, for example, for me, like after this 1 week of a break, it was crazy how bad I felt on the wall, also with all my fingers and stuff. Like everything felt really rusty, and I felt like I had to be quite careful, and I could actually injure myself right now if I'm not like taking it super slow, you know. But since I'm usually climbing basically every day, everything is really used to it. But obviously, you also kind of have to be a little bit lucky with your body, and I am lucky that my body so far hasn't had like a lot of injuries. But yeah, I think your routine is very important. Knowing your body, obviously, being really careful with warming up, especially in outside climbing. I ripped a pulley once, and that was on outside bouldering because I was already bouldering. I was warming up, but then I rested for like an hour or 50 minutes, and you get cold hands again. You try really hard, and then that's when it happens. It's really annoying sometimes when you're climbing outside, but you kind of have to like warm up again all the time. That's when some hangboards come in handy. But yeah, I would say those are some tips.
I have a question here from actually from Emil Abrahamsson, which I don't understand at all. Favorite opening?
Okay.
Do you know?
It's about chess. Yeah.
I thought chess was like chess. Why? Okay.
Yeah, I would say it's about chess. What's my favorite opening? Because I do play some chess, but for me, it's always like whenever I play one opening for a long time, it gets really boring to me. So I always switch around. But one opening I always stick to for the black piece is the Caro Kann opening against d4. So I would say maybe this one. But yeah.
Okay.
That's funny because I have some similar question. If you do something else as climbing, so obviously you play chess sometimes.
I do play chess sometimes. I mean, now a bit less than I used to, but I think it will be more again once I go to Flatanger, because then we always play all together. That's always fun. But yeah, I mean, I also like to play computer games. So I do love like some things where I can really put my ambition into. So whether it be chess or some other computer games where I try to get better and just like get better on the ranking ladder or whatever. I love that stuff and just play together with friends. But yeah, I also love to watch and do other sports. Obviously, I'm definitely a sports enthusiast. I like all the ball games. So watching, my favorite thing is like NFL, American football, and NBA, like those things. I like to follow the most, but doing myself, it would be football and some things like that. Yeah, and I also like to watch movies and series. Yeah, I've seen a lot.
So you wouldn't say that the Flatanger posse is like Camp 4 in the 1970s?
No, I think we're like a bit too serious nowadays. Trying to eat the right food, trying to be in shape for the next day to be able to try climb Project Big. But yeah, maybe sometimes a bit too serious. So yeah, a glass of wine is definitely okay sometimes. But I'm not doing any drugs with big boys.
Do you play chess with Adam as well, or?
Is Adam playing chess? I don't think so. No, no, him I haven't played yet.
Okay, so who's the best chess player in between another climbers, like the climbing community?
I mean, I haven't played with so many, but yeah, when I'm bringing the board or when we play in Flatanger, I'm the best. Otherwise, I wouldn't bring it. I'm kidding, but yeah, I've actually introduced and like got the others psyched like the last trip. So then I even like Alphonse Dornauer, my friend, he didn't even know how the pieces like move.
Okay.
So I had to teach him from the very start, but he has gotten quite good. But yeah, there I was kind of still like the guy to beat. But there's definitely other climbers that play well. I know Jan Hoyer is like a really good blitz player. He's definitely better than myself.
So getting towards the end of my questions here, after competition climbing, in a bunch of years down the line, do you see a future in the climbing industry or outside of it for yourself?
Yeah, I'm not really someone that tries to think ahead too far, but I do think I will always be in the climbing industry, probably. Yeah. like I don't really see myself doing like some completely different job someday. Like obviously I want to climb for, I mean, forever, but even on a professional level for a way longer time now. Like I don't know how long in comps. I can still see myself doing comps for quite some more years, but even after that I still want to do some hard stuff outside, produce some great content, hopefully, and make things like that. But after that, I don't know. I mean, maybe I will try coaching someday. Could be interesting. I really love route setting, and who knows, maybe like opening up a gym or something like that. That would definitely be fun, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I always take
busy.
take it like step by step, and let's see what comes.
How big part of your climbing career playing the coaches, like in your climbing career? You know, like, do you have some coaches they change completely your career, or do you? Yeah, can you talk about?
Yeah.
This?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think especially when I was younger, coaches influenced me even more than they do nowadays. Like Reini Scherer was like my youth coach, and also someone that basically followed me until my early 20s. And I think he was the guy that I just learned a lot from, you know, when it comes down to training, and I discussed a lot of things from him. So a lot of things that I know about climbing nowadays, I know because of him. So I would definitely say he influenced me in a big way. And then all the other coaches that we have had now over the years, or the coaches that I'm working with now, like our national team coaches, like Katharina Sauerwein, Fabian Loy, and the coach I work together the most with is Kilian Fischhuber. And I think nowadays, or over like the last 10 years, I've definitely been more my own coach than anyone else's. Like I know a lot about my training, and I have a lot of experience on how I have to train. But still, it's very important to have a coach by my side, and I'm really thankful of all the help that I'm getting from Kilian, because there's always some things to discuss. It's very important to sometimes get input from outside of things that I might not see and he does see, and there's things we have to discuss, especially like in preparation for the Olympics in Tokyo. It was really helpful to have coaches like him around me that just supported me in many things that I maybe wouldn't have thought of, whether it be like how to cool down in Tokyo, how do we deal with like this intensity of comps during like such a hot day, like what should I drink, what should I eat, all that stuff. And having like a lot of support around you in that way, also like with physiotherapists and all those things, I think makes your life way easier as an athlete. And I think another point is also like management, which is obviously once you are really professional, it's also really helping you in many things, because it just helps you have your mind free for the real stuff, which in my thing, and for me that is climbing, luckily.
Yeah. So do you manage your own social media yourself totally, or do you get help with that?
Yeah, I do manage it myself, but for now, I think like 1.5 years or something, I do have like a friend that is helping me. Like we're like discussing things that we can post. He also, like, you know, you also have to do some postings for certain sponsors, or you have like some things in your contract that you also some kind of sponsor needs to be in this amount of posts or whatever. So he keeps track of that, and also I don't know, like just helps in general. Sometimes he writes something and I read it and maybe put something else, or I write it to him and say, hey, I would post this, and he looks at it. So something like that. Yeah.
One more question. Did the Olympics change something in your life, like in way of how how your sponsors are working with you? Did you get better position? You know, you can live better from climbing, from professional climbing. And how do you think it's generally how the Olympic changed the sport in this way?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it hasn't changed as much as people think. Like luckily I was already in a quite good position before going to the Olympics. I was already a quite successful climber, but obviously in general my publicity and my image, they have like grown after the Olympics, obviously, especially also in the non-climbing world in Austria. Like more people know me and more people know about me, and that also obviously helps you going into contract conversations and those things. But it's not like my life or my income has changed drastically. But in general, I do think the Olympics have changed a lot of things, especially also like financially for quite some athletes, and especially also federations. Like I also know how it is for our federation. Like there is definitely money coming in for athletes that qualify for the Olympics and all that stuff. And then there's also ways how you can use that money for all the athletes and not just those two. And for example, also in Austria, we have a sports army. This is kind of like the way our government supports sportsmen. And before we were an Olympic sport, there were like a little amount of spots, but now we have more than double the amount of spots. So just a lot more athletes get the possibility to actually focus on the sport. And I'd like to think that's also the way in some more countries, and also more federations have more money. It's still not as good as I've imagined. Like I thought once we were an Olympic sport, basically most countries have like some kind of budget to send athletes, and then it's always crazy for me to hear that like some people like Max the Future or someone from the UK still has to like finance a lot of the comps by himself, which is really surprising to me. But still, I think in general, I think it has helped.
I think it will probably change more after Paris, because I mean climbing becomes a program sport from Los Angeles, and then we get part of the TV money, right? We don't get that now, so probably it should change. But I think also about the Olympics that I'm sure it's good for the sport of climbing. I think it's good, the Olympics, but right now I think it's pretty bad for competition climbing. Like if you look at the World Cup next year,
that's true. Yeah, in that sense, I've also actually just recently talked to Maddie from IFSC about exactly that. Obviously, one solution will be once we finally get 3 disciplines at the Olympics, because if you can implement the World Cup into the qualification process of the Olympics, everything will be much easier. So it's just all complicated because we have our own discipline basically just for the Olympics. But yeah, still I think the IFSC has to try to make the World Cup great again, basically. Because I remember back in the day when I started doing World Cups, at least in my community, the overall World Cup was the thing to win. It was like very important. Like everyone cared about the overall World Cup. You wanted to win the overall World Cup. Nowadays, I feel like no one really cares about it anymore. Like it really doesn't matter. Already over like the last few years, like everyone only cares about World Championships, qualifying for the Olympics and Olympics. And I think it would be great if, like, we do have like a lot of great World Cups nowadays. The World Cup definitely has gotten better. I think there's still some improvement. Like we need only these really good events. There's still like a couple that are like hinking behind the others. But we have like a lot of very good events, and you just want to make it get more attention. You don't want to make the athletes think about going to the World Cups or not, or skipping it and all that. And yeah, one thing is also at some point you just have to pay way more prize money, because the prize money we get at World Cups right now is just really ridiculous, in my opinion. We have these huge events where like 7,000 people pay like 40 Swiss francs to watch the athletes, and then the winner of that comp gets like 3,000 euros. That doesn't make sense to me. So I think this really has to change. And this, like, if you would have that overall, like right now, if you win the overall World Cup, there's like some random ceremony. You don't get prize money. You don't really get something. That's what I said. Like you need something like in skiing, you have this crystal ball, you know, there's like something like everyone knows about it and everyone wants that crystal ball. Like you need this sign, like and maybe also like a big check or something, and then it would already get way more attention. Like, what if the overall title is 50,000 euros? There's not a lot of rich climbers yet, so I think everyone would go for it.
For sure.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you, 100%.
100% agree. Yeah.
So if you had to choose one angle and one rock type, it was the only angle and rock type you could climb for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh. So I'm deciding between granite and sandstone. But probably, I mean, I'm going to Vladek soon, and it's just so good. So I take granite or gneiss or whatever you want to call that. I would say let's use just 45 degrees all the way.
45 degrees, super steep. Cool. Good. And the other one, indoors only or outdoors only for the rest of your life?
Yeah, that's an easy one. I would take outdoors only. Yeah, but I mean, obviously, I think as a competition climber, you do have to love climbing in the gym as well. Otherwise, you will never be successful. So I would be lying if I would say I don't love to climb in the gym. I just love training hard, working hard in the gym. I love it. But there's nothing better than climbing outside in like an amazing area.
Good. So I was so good, Jakob.
Yeah.
I mean,
thank you.
Thank you, really.
Really articulate and super good answers, and wow,
thanks a lot.
Really impressed.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So, no, it was a good talk. Good questions.
Well, thanks.
Good luck in Vladek.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Descent. That would be amazing.
Who else is going there, by the way? Is it only you? Or...
I mean, Stefano is already there, but I mean, I'm not going with him. But I'm not sure if Sepp is also coming again. That would be fun. But I'm going with Domen Skofic.
All right.
And also again with like Alfons Donauer and Georg Palmer. I'm not sure.
Of course.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And hope to see you at some point.
In November.
Are you going to Mallorca again, Vladek?
I'm not sure because I'm going to Slovenia now. So for the World Cup, a bit before and after I will stay, and maybe Mallorca. So I'm going to Mallorca for sure, but I'm not sure if now in September with the other guys.
Okay, cool. Well then, take care, guys.
Yeah.
It was a good talk. See you around.
Thank you. Ciao.
Bye.
Ciao.